Got to remember to buy a new one. I think we're good. Andy? Okay, testing. Is that good? Which microphone? I mean, which camera? That one? Okay, thank you. That camera.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Independence Day weekend. Lots of red, white, and blue out there. It looks great from up here. Boy, we have good music this morning. My goodness. I would argue there is no church in St. Louis this morning with better music than this. It's just true, you know. So you remember last week I mentioned in my little speech that it's very rare that a musician is equally skilled at classical music and jazz. You just don't see it. There's one over there. Let me tell you, 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈 has been sort of the reigning pianist in this town for decades, 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈. And we also welcome back this woman. My goodness, musicians in St. Louis are in awe of this woman, and you will be reminded why right now. So please welcome Kim Fuller.
I can't believe the things I'm seeing, and I've been wondering about the things I've heard. Everybody's crying mercy, but they don't know the meaning of the word. It's a bad enough situation, sure enough bound to get worse. Everybody's crying justice, as long as there's business first. Toe to toe, touch and go. Grab a chair and choose your own souvenir. You see the people go around in circles. They don't know what they're running for. Everybody's crying peace on earth just as soon as we win this war. Straight ahead, knock 'em dead. Pack your kit and choose your own hypocrite. You know you don't have to go off Broadway to find some things that are so absurd. Everybody's crying mercy when they don't know the meaning of the word. No, they don't know the meaning of the word.
Thank you, Kim Fuller and Carol Beth True, for that amazing beginning of our service. Wasn't that beautiful? So we so appreciate your being with us today. Happy 4th of July. I drove by a church this morning. It said, the sign outside said, and we're not free until everyone is free. And so let's just spend a little time this morning embracing our freedoms and holding in our hearts in prayer all those to whom freedom is denied. So I am Reverend Jan Mourning, and it is my honor to welcome everybody today, those of you in the sanctuary and those of you out in the world. We just know that you, each one of you, is here by perfect divine order, bringing something unique and wonderful to us, and it is our fervent prayer that you take something equally unique and wonderful away. So if you're here for the very first time, we especially welcome you, and we would love to send you a complimentary subscription to the Daily Word magazine, which you will hear from in a few moments. If you're in the building, you can find a guest registration card by the front door, along with a visitor's packet, a brand new welcoming pamphlet in there, so hot off the press. And if you're joining us online, go to our website at unitystl.org and hit the Contact Us link. Also, if you'd like prayer support, there's a link on our our website that says Need Prayer. Just click on that, and we have an amazing prayer circle and highly trained prayer chaplains who will hold your prayers, with you. So I have a few announcements today, and the rest will be on the upcoming events slides after the service. First of all, the Sunday morning class, the Alternatives book, will resume next week in the adult classroom. Someone asked me today, and I just want to be clear, this is a book where each chapter is really discrete, and so it's absolutely fine for you to join at any time. And so Hope Dodson is our teacher. She's our licensed Unity teacher in training. If you have any questions, talk to her, and she'll hook you up with a book and get you started. Also, next Sunday, we will have a promotion ministry meeting in the adult classroom at 10 p.m. This is the ministry that promotes First Unity through social media and other means, gets us out into the world. And so if you're interested in that, we have Patricia and Dennis Reese, our co-chairs, sitting over there. Talk to them, and they'll hook you up, and you're welcome. Or just come next week at 12 o'clock. Speaking of the promotion ministry, that's the ministry that's also really in charge of the newsletter, and thank you, Patricia Reese, for getting the newsletter out on time on a holiday weekend. Give her a hand. Great newsletter. And I see Carol Ellerman in the audience. Thank you, Carol, for all you do with our website. We just are so blessed by all of you. So we are looking for a few new people to join our welcoming ministry, specifically to be trained to become ushers and greeters and hosts. I don't know if you noticed, but when you walk in the door, we have somebody there to meet you and welcome you, and it's a very important part of our ministry. So there's a sign-up sheet out there, and Jane Relic is maybe in the back. There she is. Mary Tumanel's not here today, but the two of them are going to be doing the training. It will be wonderful, and so please consider joining us. I see a couple people have already signed up, which is great. Also, we would like all the already trained ushers and greeters to join us in that training, to be retrained. Things are a lot different than they were 2 years ago when we did our last training, so we'd like everybody to come if you possibly can. Finally, our youth ed team is sponsoring a back-to-school drive. You cannot miss the yellow school bus in the lobby. Isn't that cute? So there also are flyers out there telling you exactly what they need and what they're collecting. I know it seems early, but we're going to spend a lot of time doing this and hopefully really enhance the lives of a lot of kids. As a former teacher, I know how painful it is kids to show up that first day without what they need. And so this will really help that. Okay, before we continue with Sunday celebration, today is the first day of the month. It doesn't seem possible. It's already July, but that's the time that we will review our vision, mission, and core values. So, are we up? We get those, Jeremiah? Jeremiah is not with us today, so go back maybe. There you go. Thank you. Andy, welcome, Andy. Give Andy a hand. Thank you. We so appreciate you, Andy. I meant to welcome you, Andy. So we'll begin with our vision. Would you affirm it with me, please? In oneness of spirit, we celebrate a world awakened to infinite possibilities. And our mission: we are a vibrant, inclusive spiritual community, enriching lives through positive prayer, education, and service. And our core values from the top, going clockwise together: spirit-led, love, oneness, acceptance, welcoming, and spiritual growth. And today's message is on welcoming. It's entitled Heartfelt Welcoming. Our prayer chaplain today is Hope Dodson. She will lead us, read the daily word, and lead us in prayer. Thank you, Hope. Seems echoey to me. I think it's not.
Is this on?
I'm going to hold it. Can you push it closer to my mouth?
Hi, so I'm Hope Dodson, your prayer chaplain for the day. So after service, I'll be over by the window for any prayer needs you may have. And as always, all prayers are kept in strictest confidence. So today's word is free. The affirmation is, living from my Christ nature sets me free. Can you repeat that with me?
Living from my Christ nature.
nature sets me free. As a spiritual being, I am always free. I remember this at those moments I feel at the mercy of an unpredictable world. While I may not be able to control what happens around me, I can take comfort in knowing I don't need to. I am free to choose my response, but even more, I am free to meet life from my divinity, the breadth of my spiritual power. In prayer, I claim divine ideas. I use my powers of imagination to envision the life that I wish to live, and the power of will to make choices to bring it about. I speak affirmations to raise my consciousness and help create conditions for my highest and best outcomes to manifest. I find precious freedom realizing that life doesn't happen to me, life happens through me. And from John 8:36, so if the Son makes you free, you will be free indeed. So let's take a moment to pray as we center ourselves in that presence of God in this moment. And taking a deep breath, we just allow that free-flowing God energy to go through us and through the world as we use our powers of imagination and will and all of our 12 powers to affirm freedom for everyone, everywhere. And so it is. Amen. And if you're willing and able to stand for our first community song.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give up my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision. It's my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can ask me to forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten the load. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here and now.
good job on the new song, everyone. That was great. Okay, hang on. All right. Well, one Sunday evening, a man and his wife were busy in the kitchen preparing dinner for the preacher. Now, they had met him at the door when he rang the doorbell, along with their young son, Jimmy, got him a glass of freshly brewed iced tea, and gave him a really warm welcome. And then they assigned Jimmy to entertain him in the living room. So they were in there talking, and at one point the minister, the preacher, said to Jimmy, "So what are we having for dinner tonight?" And Jimmy said, "We're having goat." And the minister said, "Are you sure?" And Jimmy said, "Oh, yeah, I'm positive. I heard my dad say earlier in the week we might as well have the old goat for dinner." We're actually going to talk about goats a little bit later in the service, so stay tuned, okay? It is related. It's also related to welcoming. So today we continue exploring our First Unity core values, focusing on welcoming. We can think of welcoming, really, when you think about it, as spirit-led, love, oneness, and acceptance, all put into action as we welcome people. So the dictionary defines welcoming as greeting hospitably, and with cordiality and courtesy. Now, this sounds a little bit like a societal rule of etiquette, and it might be without sincerity or feeling. Think of a smile on a stick, okay? You know, it can be sort of surface and not real. However, the second part of the definition is welcoming is to accept with pleasure the presence of someone. So a heartfelt welcome is one that is strongly and sincerely felt. Now, throughout the Bible, there are many stories about welcoming strangers. We're going to look at one today briefly in Genesis. It's a story about the Hebrew patriarch Abraham, and today I'm reading from the modern Bible, the Message. God appeared to Abraham while he was sitting at the entrance of his tent. It was the hottest part of the day. He looked up and saw 3 men standing there. He ran from his tent to greet them and bowed before them. He said, "If it please you, stop for a while. I'll get some water so that you can wash your feet. Rest under this tree. I'll get food to refresh you on your way, since your travels have brought you across my path." And they said, "Certainly, thank you, go ahead." So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah, his wife, and he said to her, "Hurry, get 3 cups of our best flour, knead it, and make bread." Then Abraham ran to the cattle pen and picked out a nice plump calf and gave it to the servant, who lost no time in getting it ready. Then he got curds and milk and brought them with the calf that had been roasted, set the meal before the men, and stood there before the tree while they ate. The men said to him, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" Now, it's likely that Abraham doesn't really know these men. Sounds like he's never met them before. He doesn't know where they're from, what tribe or clan they belong to, and yet, in perfect Hebrew tradition, he gives them a warm welcome with the same hospitality that he might to a good friend. So in that way, he is really serving the strangers and he is serving God. The strangers turn out to be divine messengers. Angels come to deliver to Abraham and Sarah a message that changed their lives and the course of Jewish history. The messengers tell Abraham that even though Sarah is well past childbearing age, at other places in the Bible it says she's 90 years old. I would call that a little bit past. Even though that's the case, she will conceive and give birth to a son and call him Isaac. Now, the point for us today is that welcoming these strangers, later identified as angels, brings a great blessing, an unexpected blessing to Abraham and Sarah. And when we really think about it, as we live from our own spiritual identity, we are all messengers from God. Desmond Tutu said, "We are all God carriers." I love that. We are all God carriers. So in a letter to the Hebrews, Paul writes, maybe he's thinking of this story when he writes it, "Let mutual love continue. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing that, some have entertained angels without knowing it." Now, in the book of Matthew, chapter 25, Jesus addresses the importance of accepting and welcoming others. UD Bible scholar Ed Townley explains this entire chapter, all of chapter 25, is a discourse on the power of our choices and the importance of right discernment. So keep that in mind as we take a quick look at this story. After sharing several parables on this subject, Jesus launches into a teaching that honestly does not sound very Jesus-like. He says, "When the Son of Man comes in his glory, he will sit on the throne with all the nations gathered, and he will separate people from one another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right hand and the goats on the left. Then he will say to those on his right, 'Come, you that are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. You invited me. Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters, you did for me.'" Now, taken literally, this sounds like Jesus is saying only a select few who really serve the needy will be accepted into the kingdom, and the rest will be banished. However, Reverend Townley explains the key to understanding this message is to realize that Jesus' words, "Son of Man," refer not just to Jesus himself, but also to the Christ, that individualized expression of God that Jesus expressed perfectly, and also that is the spiritual essence of all humankind. And animals in the Bible represent, who remembers? What do animals represent? Well, somebody's doing a really good job up here. Animals represent thoughts. All through the Bible, from the beginning of Genesis, animals represent thoughts. Sheep represent loving thoughts and energies, while goats represent fear-based, negative ego thinking. The point is, the choice is ours. We can hold on to those negative judgments and refuse to express love to others. Know that a God of infinite love does not judge us, but we can be held accountable by the negative consequences of our own stinking thinking. Or we have the freedom, we're talking about freedom today, we have the freedom to choose to express love to all and thereby create, align with, and create and enrich that kingdom of heaven that is where? I know you know this. Within. That is within, exactly. So the thing is, if we really want to live lives of joy and fulfillment, we must separate the sheep from the goats. In this passage, Jesus is calling us to reflect upon the Christ, the oneness with God that is our true identity. We awaken to that Christ in ourselves, and we realize that Christ in all humankind, no exceptions. When love is our decision, we are in the divine flow. We are on this earth to be God's love to everyone, not just those who live in our neighborhoods or who think like us or look like us. And if we have trouble seeing the value in any particular human being, we can remember Abraham Lincoln's wisdom. I don't like that man. I must get to know him better. So welcoming is about making connections with others. In the book, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect, author John C. Maxwell says, the ability to connect with others begins with our realizing their value. Every human being, no matter what they might do, every human being has value. And Maxwell notes, it doesn't matter if you're introverted or extroverted, we can all learn to connect with others by understanding the 3 questions that most people have when meeting someone new. Modified slightly, they are. Number 1, do you care about me as a person? Number 2, are you willing to help me if I need it? And number 3, can I trust you? Theodore Roosevelt, former president, said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So Maxwell shares some practices. He shares a bunch of them. I'm just going to do a few here today. He shares some practices to really help us learn to connect with others. The first one I'm sure you've heard before, it is find common ground. This, I believe, begins with our posing questions to the other person about themselves and then actually listening. Isn't that a novel idea, right? Actually listening without judgment to what the other person has to say. It's part of our prayer chaplain training, actually, that empathic listening. Another one is to make your communication simple. Simplicity has been called an art. Maxwell shares the story of a young boy eating an apple in the back seat of a car when he says to his dad, "Dad, how come my apple's turning brown?" And the father says, "Well, son, the moment you took a bite into it, the inside of the apple connected with the air, which made it oxidize and change its molecular structure and its color." So it was quiet in the back seat, and then all of a sudden the little boy said, "Daddy, are you talking to me?" So, to make a connection, it's important for us to try to get our point across quickly in order to give the other person a chance to talk also. It also moves the conversation from what we call me to we. It reaches out and pulls people in. Another practice is one you all know, we talked about not too long ago. It is simply follow the golden rule. Welcome others as you yourself would like to be welcomed. Caring and compassion always build trust. So now I invite you to think about a time that you were a recipient of a heartfelt welcome and what kind of feelings that might have generated in you. Several years ago, shortly before I took leadership of the church over, I went to a conference in northern Indiana at the Great Lakes Regional Conference. And it was an 8-hour drive, and I didn't give myself enough time to get there. So I finally got to the little town where it was taking place, and I was so happy to get there. But my navigator failed me. It didn't seem to know where the state park was, where the lodge was, where they're holding this event. So I stopped several places. Finally, I found someone who knew where the lodge was, and I got myself back on track. Ran in, left my luggage and everything in the car, ran in, got myself registered, got to the room where the opening session was, opened the door, and it was just about ready to start, and I did not see a seat anywhere. It was just so crowded, there were no chairs. So I'm kind of looking around, and all of a sudden, way across the room, I see these people waving wildly and saying, "Jan, Jan." I turned around, I'm like, are they talking to me? Come to find out, it was a small group from Unity Church of Light in St. Charles. It was Vernetta Holmes and Sarah Carr Jordan and a couple of the board members, and they embraced me and welcomed me so incredibly. They found me a chair, they got me a bottle of water and a snack, and invited me to every single meal for the rest of the week. And I still remember that. It's been a few years ago. I just so appreciated their warm welcome, and the bonus for me is I really got to know them all better. We're a lot closer than we would have been if that hadn't happened. And of course, that's exactly the way we want people in our spiritual community to feel when they're here in person, right? When they walk in the door. We also want those of you who are watching online to feel welcome too. We welcome you, and we know that you are part of our spiritual community. Welcoming is actually the only one of our core values that has a ministry assigned to it, devoted to it. As an inclusive spiritual community, it is our intention to welcome everyone who comes. And we celebrate the divine essence, meaning the Christ, of every human being by joyfully inviting all into our spiritual community. Now, I'm guessing if we went to any Unity church this morning, anywhere in the world, and asked the people if their community is welcoming, what do you think they would say? I think they would say yes, because they would say, well, in Unity, we're known for being loving and accepting, which is true. However, in a book called The Purpose-Driven Church, Rick Warren makes the point that just because a church is loving doesn't mean it's welcoming. He writes, if all that love and acceptance is pointed inward to the people already there, the ministry may be a closed circle that guests have trouble breaking into. Now, maybe you've experienced that in a church or organization. I see some people shaking their heads that you have. I have too, and I hate to say it, but it was actually in a Unity church. Not this one, but it was in a Unity church. And I'm not going to, it'll remain nameless, but I'll tell you the story. I was taking classes at Unity Village. It was Sunday morning, and all my classmates were going to the Unity Chapel on grounds, which I love. But I decided to drive a little distance to a church where a minister was there that I really respected, and I just wanted to hear it. I wanted to hear his service. So I got there 15 minutes early. My navigator did work this time, didn't desert me. I was on time. I found the church. I pulled into the parking lot only to see that it was completely and totally filled. There was not one spot left. So I looked adjacent. There was a gravel lot. I didn't know if it belonged to the church or not, but I thought, well, I've got to park somewhere. So I backed out and parked over there. So I walked up to the front door, and there was a woman at the door, and she did say welcome, but she didn't give me her name, and she didn't ask my name, and I had no idea where to go. I heard some voices, and so I followed the sound of the voices, and there was a room where people were all milling around, and it took me a minute to realize that that was also it was their community room and their sanctuary. And so I sat down for a few minutes, and then I realized I was the only one sitting. Everybody's walking around and hugging and laughing and shaking hands and all that. And I thought, oh, this is great. So I joined a group, and I mentioned that I was here for the first time, and nobody even looked at me or responded to me in any way. I swear I felt like I was absolutely invisible. It was just unbelievable. So I sat back down. I thought, okay. I sat back down and waited for church to start. The service was amazing, and I loved the message. When it was all over, I decided I'd hang around a little bit. The minister had invited everybody for coffee, but I didn't know where the coffee was. People were milling around with their nice steaming hot cups of coffee, and I'm looking around. I don't see a room or any place. Finally, I simply weaved my way through all the groups, and I got in my car, and I drove to Starbucks alone and had my coffee, okay? Now, honestly, I have looked back at that event a lot, and I really and truly do think that those people were loving Unity students. I really do. And I think they were so happy to be together on Sunday morning and hugging each other and loving each other that they didn't have guests on their radar. The problem is it might be the case that in our human skins we like to be comfortable. We like to surround ourselves with our friends and those people who we know like us already, but that doesn't make for a welcoming environment, does it? I don't think I probably would not go back to that church unless maybe it was just to see if I arrived on a day that all the people who were good at welcoming were homesick. I don't know if that happened or not. But at any rate, thank you that First Unity has never been like that, in my opinion. And now, of course, we have this welcoming ministry at First Unity. Invitation to some of you to join that. It has a strategic, intentional system in place, which we developed from Unity Worldwide Ministries, that includes guest parking, signs that tell people where everything is, a welcome packet that explains what we're about, ushers and greeters trained not to undergreet, but also not to overgreet people. And to reach out to new people, some of us might have to get out of our comfort zones. But a warm smile, a simple comment like, "It's really good to have you here today," can be the beginning of connection. Nonverbal communication is really important. So the thing is, we are here. We're not here for just a social event, although we like each other and do have social events. We are here for a shared purpose, to know God deeper and more meaningful, in more meaningful ways, to connect with the one power and one presence, and to be God's love on this planet. We are here, as our mission statement says, to enrich more and more lives. And we cannot know God more. We cannot awaken to the Christ. We cannot see the Christ in others if we are closed to the unknown, closed to new experiences and greater possibilities, closed to the expansiveness that is the very nature of God. For that expansiveness includes all people, connects all people, brings all people together in unity. We are on this planet to be in relationship with one another. So, engaging in heartfelt welcoming is part of our divine purpose. Mother Teresa said, "I never look at the masses as my responsibility. I look at the individual. I can only love one person at a time. One by one by one, I began. I picked up one person. Maybe if I didn't pick up that one person, I wouldn't have picked up 42,000 more. The same thing goes for you," she says. "The same thing in your family, the same thing in your church, the same thing in your community. Just begin, one by one." And she also said, "I see God in every single person." So one person at a time, we behold the Christ. One person at a time, we grow and are grown. In our personal lives and in our spiritual community, we come together to know and express God in ever deeper ways. So let us set that intention today. What if we all woke up tomorrow morning or even for the rest of the day and said to ourselves, "I'm going to do a heartfelt welcome to every human being I meet." The ripples would just go on and on and on. In the words of the poet Rumi, "Be grateful for each one who comes before, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond." So as today's daily word affirms, living from our Christ nature sets us free. You are the one the world has been waiting for. Together, let us walk the talk and demonstrate what unity is all about. So let's begin for preparation for prayer and meditation by coming together and affirming the great truth about God. Together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and at work in my life. God, the good, omnipotent, and so it is.
In the silence, there is a sacred space, a secret meeting place. Love is there. In the silence, where every color blends and every rainbow ends, good is there. In the light, now you find that you know peace of mind. In the silence, your path is paved in gold, and all your dreams unfold. Love is there. Peace is there. Truth is there. God is there.
And so now I invite you to close your outer eyes if you have not already done so. And wherever you are, just become comfortable in your seat. Relax your body and clear your mind. Take a deep, cleansing breath. Hold it for a few seconds, and then slowly, gently exhale. And as you continue breathing in and breathing out, with every exhale, release any worries, fears, or conflicts. Just be still. In this now moment, turn to the inner sanctuary of your own soul, where there is only love, there is only peace, there is only God. And in this sacred place, know that you are a precious expression of God, a clear channel of divine love, and a radiant expression of divine light. You are a presence of love that uplifts, heals, and blesses the world, one thought at a time, one word at a time, one human interaction at a time. As Paul wrote to the Romans, welcome one another as Christ has welcomed you for the glory of God. Know that every person you meet in this church community and beyond is an individualized expression of spirit. We don't have to look alike, think alike, or have the same interests. All human judgments fade as we lovingly behold the Christ in every person who walks through the doors of First Unity and every person we meet in our lives. Welcoming truly is spirit-led love, oneness, and acceptance put into action. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore wrote, "Love is the pure essence of being, the great harmonizing principle that binds together the whole human family. Love is an inner quality that sees good everywhere and in everyone. It insists that all is good, and by refusing to see anything but good, it causes goodness to appear in all things." So I invite you now, for a few moments in the silence, to search your own soul, to ask yourself if there are ways that you can become more loving and welcoming to others. If there is a person or group about whom you have held negative judgments, be willing to suspend those, seeing the good, the God in everyone and every situation. Do this now for a few moments in the silence. And so now, whether you are in this sanctuary or out in the world, we come together grateful for this time of prayer and meditation. We are grateful for all the loving hearts and souls in this spiritual community. We set the intention to extend our hearts and minds to engage in heartfelt welcoming to all, and we say thank you, God. And so it is, and so we joyously allow it to be. Amen.
Now, out of the night, new as the dawn, into the light, this child, innocent child, soft as a fawn, this child is born. One small heart, one pair of eyes, one work of art. Here in my arms, here he lies, trusting and warm, blessed this morn. innocent child, soft as a fawn. This child is born, one small heart, one pair of eyes, one work of art. Here in my arms, here he lies, trusting and warm, blessed this morn. A child is born.
Thank you, Kim Fuller and Carol Beth True, for that beautiful rendition of A Child is Born. Beautiful song. Now I'm supposed to talk after that, right? Okay, great gratitude also goes to Julie. Julie Godey, thank you so much for using your amazing talents as our song leader. And to everyone today who made this service possible, you know who you are. So now it's that time where we come together and we get to pause and reflect and give thanks for our many blessings. Offerings can be mailed to us through the mail or just hit the donate button on udstl.org or our YouTube channel. We appreciate all you streamers who are supporting us, helping us enrich more and more lives. Knowing that we are one with divine source and each other, would you please join me in blessing our many gifts? Together, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And at this time, I'd like to invite you to stand if you're willing and able to sing, I Behold the Christ in You. I behold the Christ in you. Here the life of God I see. I can see a great peace too. I can see you whole and free. I behold the Christ in you. I can see this as you walk. I see this in all you do. I can see this as you talk. I behold the cloud expressed. I can see you filled with power. I can see you ever blessed. See Christ in you hour by hour. I behold the Christ in you. I can see that perfect one, led by God in all you do. I can see God's work is done.
So as we come to the end of our Sunday celebration, let's join together and sing the expanded version of the prayer of protection, the version that celebrates
beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Now, since we're celebrating the 4th of July, will everybody stand up and sing this with me? We're going to start at the top. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining. Now give it all you got. See. Let's give America a big round of applause. Woo!
You